In the past 20 years, the right bet was software companies. From 2000 to 2020, they outperformed the S&P 500 by an astonishing 293%. But over the past 5 years, this sector has been lagging, and not just slightly. At Glacium Research, we've dedicated significant time and resources to answering a single, crucial question. Which sector is now positioned to outperform everything else over the coming decades, taking into account the risk involved? In this video, we'll break down what made software companies so dominant between 2000 and 2020, what conditions a sector needs in order to lead, and which sector today meets all those conditions. This research has led us to take very specific positions, and we'll walk you through them. But to understand where we're going, we need to look back. What made softwares unstoppable? Before software reshaped the world, the global economy was powered by noise, steel, and combustion. Growth came from machines that turned, pipelines that roared, and factories that never slept. The largest companies on Earth didn't run on servers or code. They ran on fuel, metal, and manpower. An economy built on extraction and transformation of oil, minerals, and raw labor, producing smoke, dust, and physical output at scale. From the oil fields of Texas to the car plants of Detroit and the port zones of Shanghai, wealth was created by moving weight, burning energy, and building things that could be touched. And for most of the 20th century, this industrial model defined what it meant to grow. But in the early 2000s, a shift began slow, silent, and largely invisible at first. In offices, factories, and homes, the analog world started to fade. Instead of mailing a letter, as people had done for centuries, it now took a single click to send an email instantly across the planet. Businesses stopped storing records in filing cabinets. Digital spreadsheets took over. Instead of browsing aisles in a physical store, customers began ordering online from their desktop computers. Face-to-face meetings became calendar invites. Paper invoices became PDFs. Even small local businesses started using accounting software, digital payroll systems, and inventory tools. Bit by bit, without noise or headlines, code replaced concrete. The core infrastructure of the economy wasn't made of steel anymore. It was made of code. And behind it all, one category of companies emerged as the clear winner: software. All of these transformations, from communication to commerce to operations, required one essential layer: software. And that's where it gets interesting, because while demand for software was exploding, supply remained extremely limited. At the time, software was a rare and precious resource. Building a single product often required hundreds of thousands of dollars in upfront investment, not to mention months of development. There was no cloud computing or scalable infrastructure. Companies had to build or buy everything themselves, from servers to licenses to physical distribution. On top of that, very few people actually knew how to code. The technical skills were scarce, the infrastructure was expensive, and the tools were primitive by today's standards. Which meant one thing: the companies that were already in place faced almost no competition. They were operating in an environment of explosive demand, massive margins, and very few rivals. In short, high barriers, low saturation, and infinite runway. And that's exactly why software companies became so dominant. But that environment no longer exists. Today, software still grows, but not at the same speed. Back then, the entire world needed to be digitized. Businesses had no choice but to adopt tools for communication, operations, and management. It was a greenfield. That's no longer the case. Most companies are already equipped with the essential layers of software they need. The frontier has narrowed, and unlike the early 2000s, competition is now everywhere. Over the past 2 decades, the number of software developers has more than quadrupled, and they don't code the way they used to. Tools are faster, cheaper, and far more accessible. Artificial intelligence can now write code directly. No-code platforms allow users to build complex applications without a single line of programming. The result is clear. The barrier to entry has collapsed. What was once a rare skill is now widely distributed. What once required capital and time can now be launched from a laptop in a matter of days. And markets have started to reflect that shift. Between 2002 and 2020, software companies outperformed the S&P 500 by 293%. capturing an ever larger share of the index year after year. But since then, the story has changed. For nearly 5 years now, the software sector has underperformed the broader market by double digits. These companies still grow, but not at the same pace, and not with the same advantage. The world they once dominated has caught up. The runway is shorter. The edge is gone. But the real lesson lies in why software dominated for so long: a rapid rate of growth and high barriers to entry that kept competitors out. Today, we're looking for a sector with those exact same characteristics, and we believe semiconductors are exactly that. Growth has been exponential over the past 2 years, and it's only accelerating. Just as every company had to adopt software in the early 2000s, today, every company needs to adopt AI. And the biggest bottleneck in that transition is the semiconductor industry, a sector defined by extreme complexity and massive capital requirements, standing at the center of both today's explosive demand and tomorrow's exponential growth. First, the talent pool is extremely limited. Only a handful of engineers worldwide possess the expertise to manage the extreme complexity of nanoscale chip design and manufacturing, a prerequisite for training and deploying advanced AI systems. Second, this is one of the most capital-intensive industries on Earth. Building a cutting-edge chip factory costs $10 to $20 billion. The combination of massive upfront investment, specialized knowledge, and long development cycles makes true competition virtually non-existent. In a market where demand is compounding, this structural scarcity allows industry leaders to raise prices, secure long-term contracts, and expand their margins. High growth, minimal competition. That's the exact combination that builds multi-decade winners, with structurally limited downside. It's the exact same setup that made software companies dominant in the early 2000s, except this time, the moat is wider, the capex is heavier, and the strategic leverage is even greater. If you've got any questions, drop them in the comments. I'll try to answer as best I can, and if that's something you'd be interested in, we can make a follow-up video breaking down the stocks we've chosen based on this analysis. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.